Is it live? I think so. Let me clear my throat. Still morning for me. Well, I've been up for a while, so it's not too early in the morning. Welcome to the Saturday Q&A. And when I said, what did I put in the title? Server updates, I meant in a very literal sense. So we're going to reboot this server now because I just patched it. We're going to patch some servers while I'm answering your questions because that's something I need to do today. Saturday, I shut some services down so we can watch this reboot. And seeing as I got to wait for it to reboot, why not do some Q&A live stream stuff, right? That seems like a fun thing to do. It's funny, just before I started the live stream, I inhaled a little bit of my coffee. But we're rebooting one of my Dell servers. Very specifically, this server is the master server for my pool for my main server. So it's going to be a minute before it restarts and gets everything up and running and all the services running on it. But there was a few patches for XCP-NG, so, got to load them. They weren't I never delay the patches. I'll load them absolutely immediately if there's some pending doom of security problem that's with it. But when there's not, it's just load them in a day or two. And when I don't have any, direct threats from it. There's a couple patches that are for some basics that abate, some basic issues that were coming up inside of it, but nothing too horrible. You guys can watch the Dell boot screen go by. Many of you have watched this because you're like, this is the problem with enterprise servers. They take long to boot. And then you realize they take long to boot compared to what? Compared to HP? No, they're actually quite fast compared to HP. So it is always the fun of doing this, though. The patching we have to do. But the other thing I'll be talking about is like the 100 days of home lab. Which Dell is it? This is an old R720 getting close to requirement. So no, this is not VNC. This is Dell iDRAC I'm logged into. So yeah, the Dell iDRAC system makes your life way easier for doing this. Can I switch windows? Well, kind of. Here, we'll just jump over to the Dell iDRAC screen. So, all right, this part's boring. It's just going to boot up. I hope. I hope it's just going to boot up. That's the goal. Is it's just going to boot up, and we're not going to have problems, right? Right? This is what the Dell iDRAC screen looks like. So you just click launch. This is the virtual console. That's HTML5 console that's in there. So we can see whatever things are going on with it. I feel confident one of the power supplies is unplugged because reasons. But it actually says it's right. Okay, they're both plugged in, I guess. I don't see an error anymore. We were moving things around. We didn't have enough plugs for some stuff we were doing. That's the nice thing about having redundant power supplies. You just kind of unplug them. You don't have to leave them plugged in. You're like, no big deal. But nonetheless, you can see it's using about we should probably zoom this in. 238 watts of power. Rebooting took a little bit, so it actually idles here about it there. So it's using a little more because it's booting up. But yeah, R720 is not bad. It's just a little dated for what we need for some of our workloads. But I don't know what I'll do. I'll probably sell the system for cheap to someone, or I don't know, maybe I don't figure out what I'm going to do with it when I'm done, because we're putting some new servers in at my office. I had posted about some of the R740 stuff we got. So yeah, big couple generation differences, but it's actually still a reasonably good and powerful server with, an overall very good life left in, I guess you could say. So it's not bad. Dual 40 gig network cards are cheaper than 10 gig nerds. I don't know why. Not sure. Yeah, it all depends on your use case. The other problem is it's so cheap to build multi-core systems. it's kind of a decision tree you have to make of, power consumption and things like that. Because you can build Ryzen systems that are fast, effective at running your workloads, for home lab stuff, and they're quieter too. You can put really quiet fans in them, and that's a problem with this if you don't have a place to put it. For those of you that have a place to put it, have a basement or something like that, if you're doing it for home lab, or have an office with a server rack and a server room in it, they're fine. So yeah. 12th gen is cheap on RAM, DDR4 prices. I wouldn't be able to do 120 gig. That's a big thing about it. We were looking at that because we have a Ryzen system as well in our stack, and yeah, that's a challenge of the cost to get that working. So is it still waiting to connect? There we go. Now it's happy. It booted. It's connected. I can close all these windows because we got to boot the other system up. So is this one booted? No, not yet. Got to wait until I can switch. So yeah, we're doing it live. That's for sure. I'm just rebooting servers. I have one more to reboot, so you guys can watch the process on that one. I thought they'd both be done before the live stream, but they're not. So here we are, because I was doing other things, and my wife told me I got to cut the grass. I said I'm live streaming. That gets me out of cutting the grass, because gotta play with all the things. So let's see. I'm waiting for one more server to boot. As soon as it boots, I'll swap screens so I can start the next process of updates. Because we have a few servers. That way we can, I could migrate them live between and never shut down any of my services. It's too much trouble. It doesn't take long for these updates to occur. It's all of about, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes. So yeah. I broke WAN 1 on my 6100. WAN 2 is fine. That is weird. That's not a normal problem. I haven't seen it. I'm not saying that it's zero, but it's rare you have network ports go bad, but we have seen it. It has occurred. What's the point of mesh option when you're using Ethernet backhaul on U6LRs? Don't use mesh. If you're using Ethernet for the backhaul, you can ignore mesh altogether. I really don't recommend people meshing things together. Everyone thinks they have to, that they think mesh and roaming because bad marketing companies have put this in people's heads that those are the same things, but they're not at all. So yeah, you don't really need it unless you're doing some wireless on there. This is a good point. I'm finding it's actually cheaper to buy a complete system with a 768 gigs RAM, pull the RAM 64 gig and resell to put the 768 in your new system. Yeah, if you go and I think we can pull up Lab Gopher and you slide the little memory thing up, and let's say we'll go crazy with 256 here, or however you want to do it. But you can see there's Dell servers here, and let's look for buy it nows. There we go. But that much RAM, and obviously that's a big deal. You can use, this is labgopher.com for those of you not familiar with it, but you can sort by memory and find some of these deals on servers. Some of these Dell. Here's an R720 for $600, 2.9 gigahertz, 256 gigs of RAM. So yeah, that makes a big difference, because a lot of times it's not always that you need a ton of processing power to get your workload done, but you need enough memory to run all the different services, especially if you have a lot of different services, or you just want to play with a lot of different virtual machines. You say, I need to spin up 50 VMs because I want to understand how to do some clustering. Okay, great. I want to build a large scale Kubernetes cluster, and I need a lot of stuff to do it so I can really make sure that my code works at scale, et cetera, et cetera. And now you're going, okay, how much RAM do I need? Well, each VM needs X RAM. Well, I want 50 VMs. Oh, okay, that's a lot of RAM. So you can get these servers for cheap with that. It's amazing what you can buy. That's a couple, like a little bit older of a server, but you can still have an absolute crazy amount of memory in it. So ever played with an R910? My last job used 11th gen, 64 DDR3 RAM slots, currently at 25 gig, 4 sticks, dirt cheap. I think that might be the 10 series might be a little bit too old. The 20 series is getting there. The 30 series is becoming really affordable. If you go to like the R30s, sort of way to sort specifically, or do you? I think there's a keyword thing you can hear. Filter rows R630. We'll put it 128 gig. There's more of them in there, but these R630s, you're talking a couple generations newer. They're going to be more power efficient, and you can still get these under $1,000 with 128 gigs of RAM. So definitely good to run some lab workloads and do a lot of learning on. I've been looking for the UniFi documentation you mentioned in some early videos. I try to link to all of them. I've never looked for anything. Lab Gopher allegedly. Let me go up to the top here. Yeah, they have ca.labgopher.com. So if you're Canadian, there we go. Let's post a link to it. If you go to labgopher.com, they have links for different regions. But I try to link to all the documentation whenever I reference it. Like, my large deploy UniFi stuff. There's a whole. It's not hard to find if you Google. If you type large deploy UniFi, you land in their page for their documentation to how to set up larger deployments and some of the changes on there. So, yeah, I don't find it too hard to do. But that's just me. Let's see if I can pivot over to the next servers that I have to update. Yay! All right, we need to filter for backups. No, not power state. Running hosts, specifically R630. So here's all the things running right now in my R630 that I have to stop from running. Because if I don't stop these, I can't do the updates. So we're going to roll the pool updates. So 630. You just do a quick. I guess I could share that. I don't even know if anyone cares. You just do some. Oh, look. There we go. Yes, we're going to occasionally get spammers. That's most one of those things. Yeah, this is, this is going to vary by region, but even running it for you, 10-year-old HPE server ends up being $40 a month more on my utility bill, but replaces $150 in cloud services. Yeah. Yep. For sure. Epic servers, please talk. Epic's awesome. Wendell's done some great videos on it. I wish they were more affordable. The problem is they're just not end of life yet. They haven't been in the field long enough. And I think their life is probably going to be a little bit longer than some of the other ones because they're really amazingly power efficient and process intensive. Like they just do a great job overall. I think, AMD's really knocking out of the park out of that. Granted, it's not easy. I think I was listening to an interview maybe a year ago or 2 years ago from one of the people from AMD on one of the enterprise server podcasts. But it was funny talking to him. The person said, "Oh man, you guys have 1% of the market share now." And he goes, "1% might be generous for how many AMDs are deployed in the in the server market, like in data center market specifically." But yeah, I got no problem with Epic. I think they're a great choice. We've been debating about building one. The problem we kind of have, like if we go Epic, if you mix processors, I can't just live migrate them like for a lot of our lab stuff. So it's like if we go Epic, we need to go Epic all the way, but it's substantially more expensive. Yeah, first gen Epic is getting cheaper. That is true. So it is definitely getting a lot cheaper to do. Let me finish updating the server. Got distracted by all of you. So server updates are loaded. And all right. Now I need to stop the services. So this is Zen Orchestra, this little incantation up here, power running container, and has the UUID of the specific host, means I have to shut all these down in order to reboot. So we just go here and we hit stop because these are all running on this. So stop running, all of you. Power down. As soon as these power down, I'll reboot that server. We're doing it live. You can zoom in, watch the last thing stopping. Distracted by all of you dragging the live stream out so I can avoid cutting the grass. That, pretty much that. Greylog. Greylog. It takes a long time to get Greylog to stop because Greylog is busy all the time. There we go. It's finally stopping. There we go. Finally stopped. Here. Nothing running. We reboot the server. But before we reboot, because you got to make sure you... I like to watch it reboot. And all of you do too, right? Let's log into the R630 iDRAC. We'll pull up the window so we can watch it go through its process while we talk about whatever, my Q&A sessions. I wish they had, they had an option before. Can I just do this? There we go. I'll just share the iDRAC. Oh, it logged me out because I opened up a new window. Figures. Silly security logging me in and out of things. Greylog is my, the more you feed Greylog, the more you love Greylog. That's for sure. Is Zen Orchestra free? If you compile it yourself, Zen Orchestra is indeed free. So that's, if I have a video on compiling it, this is like just such a common question. And I made it the first video is like, here's how to compile Zen Orchestra free. And it just is like everyone's, but it's not free because I have to compile it. And I'm like, giving the code away for free doesn't mean you get a free built server. I don't know how else to articulate that, but it's a really, really common question every single time. Every single time people ask about Zen Orchestra. Oh. There we go. Now we can watch a reboot. So, but yeah, I have a video on it. You can search my channel about how to compile Zen Orchestra. I also have, and I'll share it real quick, my Technicalities channel, which I need to do some updates on, but it's still relevant. There's the things on here are so good. Is Zen maintained by Citrix? Not anymore. Citrix doesn't do as much with Zen like they used to. Zen is an open source project. Zen is a hypervisor. Zen is the most widely used hypervisor for those of you that want to be, pedantic in details, as if that matters. Zen is part of the Linux Foundation, and XCPNG is the fork of Zen, not fork, distribution of Zen that incorporates Zen that I use. Incorporates is the best way to describe that. I just did a video detailing how all of that works. It's what is that video titled? That video is titled here. I'm going to share it here. Here's the video I did exactly covering all those details. The video title is This because there's so many words in here. XCP&G versus Zen server versus KVM versus Proxmox. So whole video breaking all that down. So yeah, there's a lot to it. I don't use Chasm. I haven't really. It looks neat. I don't have a use case for it. Like it's not something I need to do. Um, so we can. Well, I'll wait till this boots and I'll pull up and look at Chasm. I mean, it's novel. So, but I don't think it's fully open source. It's just container streaming. I use X2Go for streaming, so in Chasm just wraps some cool things in that, but I'm not big on like things that are proprietary. That's my problem. I mean, is it fully open source or is it partially open source? I wasn't clear as I noticed they have pricing on there. Like, can you build your own Chasm server? That's that's where the challenge comes in. Where's the big gulp? Well, the big gulp's never filled with coffee. That's always filled with water. My coffee cup's only this big. So, but you're right. When I have the larger cup, it's that's definitely, it's just got water in it. There's a community edition of Chasm I've seen, but it's hosted on their stuff. So and here's the problem, as people have pointed out before. And cool. That's all right. That's booted back up. So we'll share the screen on Chasm. And this is my problem when people ask me about anything that's proprietary. They're like, but they have a free version. And I'm like, well, here's the problem. It's free now. They get a bunch of users and they're like, hey, that free version was unsustainable. Here's our keep incremental up fee on there. So that's yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have X2Go. That's how, and I've done videos on it because it's stupidly easy to set up and configure. So X2Go is still my way to publish applications if I need to do that. Not something I do very often. So yeah. What we really need to top this off would be a live cam on the back of the server as it shuts down and boots up. Yeah. Loved your WireGuard video. Have it working. Try and set up so I can manage my Proxmox from anywhere. Cool. No, WireGuard's great. I use WireGuard on my phone. It's a great service. Everything about WireGuard makes me happy. For the most part, it doesn't have a user manager, but that's not necessarily a big deal for everybody's use case. All right. Now to start all of our production VMs. So we filter for production and halted. I don't need this one yet. Whoops. So we'll uncheck this. This is not deployed yet. Yeah, that's all the stuff that needs to be started. Are you sure you want to start 9 VMs? Of course I'm sure I want to start 9 VMs. They're mine. Please do a video comparing Unraid. No, I'm not going to because there's no point in doing it. First, it's been done. Second, it's been done a lot. Third, Unraid is not for performance. It's something great that makes people in the home lab happy who have a lot of things and want it easy to run. And it's got a use case for all of that. It is not performance oriented. I don't think they're going to do anything for it. It's not based on ZFS. It's just, I don't have an interest in running it. There's not a use case I have for it. But good news, there's plenty of people who do, and they do videos on it. So I don't need to really, it's like not worth it for me sometimes to learn a product I don't ever plan on using or deploying. Especially when it's like, it's not like it's something I think is so cool that other people should be using it and there's no other humans making videos on it. There's a bunch of people making videos on it. So I'm running a Windows 10 VM on ICBG. Which tools to use? The Citrix tools auto update Windows, so seems easier way to go. Yes, that is exactly the way we go, is using those tools. There's no doubt about that. I'll actually comment on something because people think this is weird or annoying. I don't know what the right word for it is. But one of the problems you run into, and we're going to go over here to the wiki, is I don't want anyone ever to have the ability to wander off with one of these VMs. Actually, I'm waiting for the screen to load because it's pulling data and it's not here yet. When we set these things up, one of the things that's important is we put passwords on a lot of the boot screens. People like, but doesn't that make rebooting harder? Sure, but it also makes it inconvenient. But losing your data if someone were ever to copy one of these VMs is really inconvenient. So that's one of the reasons we do this. So I got to log into each of these systems and type a password in. People ask me about that once in a while, and it's still how we do things. Have you used Starwind vSAN before? I have not, and don't really have, like, I think Wendell's talked about it. I haven't used it. I don't really, yeah. Have you seen Windows Forbidden Router? I love that he called it the Forbidden Router. Yes, I've seen it. Yes, he's using XCP-NG. Yo, this one will boot now. Where's the other one here? Did I type the password right? I did. Success. That's what. Those details, those pesky details. Make cable management inside and outside of racks faster repairing. There's no fast way to repair it. That's unfortunate. So, yeah, that's not. There's no easy way to fix them. Make it all easy to manage. Make it all labeled well so you can find it. But it's still a lot to get it out of a rack. Any recommendations on remote PC compliance? Was using TeamViewer until they flagged my account for corporate use, even though I'm a home lab. Then I moved to AnyDesk, and I'm not that happy with it. I really don't know. I don't know. We pay for commercial products in that market, so I don't really know what would be good for home lab. There's a few open source projects, but I haven't used them, so I can't truly endorse them. I do know some people liked this product though. What was it called? But it requires it's RPort. So RPort's a free and open source one, but all RPort does is get you the connections for remote login. Then you have to do other things like have RDP enabled. So I'll leave a link to this. I haven't used it. There's some videos you can find on it. Maybe that'll help you in that. So cross fingers. As the Ryzen 5000 series become cheaper and cheaper, building a 5950 system with cheapism is a good home lab server. Yeah, I think so. I would actually agree with that. That, the building with Ryzen's, actually, I'm going to switch over to another screen in a second and show you the Ryzen we built. We have a Ryzen system we've been testing for a while. We don't have that much RAM in it, but we've been running some workloads on it. It's been impressive. There we go. Move over to this screen. So this is our Ryzen server, and it's just running a few Windows VMs right now, but it's a Ryzen 5600G because we had one, not because it's the best processor, probably because it was on sale or it was laying around at my office. I don't know why my staff built it. I know my staff built it, but I think the Ryzen stuff, I mean, it works great. Like I'm not unhappy with this system. It's actually surprisingly fast. It's faster than some of the other ones on there. So yeah. Do you have Synology Syrian station running on the same VLAN as your cameras? Yes. Well, yes, no. I have a separate VLAN, a separate subnet for my cameras. Synology's, the one I have, has 4 network interfaces. one of those network interfaces is tied to the same subnet as the cameras, because you don't want to route the camera traffic. You want it on the same subnet. That's it. You just take the one and you lock it all down. That particular LAN is locked down. It doesn't have internet because it doesn't need internet. And it is where the cameras live. It is where one leg of the Synology lives. So that's the way, that's the ideal way to set that up. And I'm using see my wife's supposed to be working in the yard too, and she's not. But I'm using the Synology surveillance station at home. It works great. This is outside my house right now. So yeah, it's a great platform. Mess Central is another one I've heard of. I've never used it, but a lot of people seem to like it. Python, I'm not a Python programmer. Jay from Learn Linux TV has a whole series on Python. The reason fewer flag because your PC is probably on AD. You need a commercial license at that point. Yeah. Was on sale. Yeah. That makes most things work like that. I was running XCPG previously in a new VM. Had the same actors or something in the config I messed. You probably restored it or something. I don't know why every new VM. I've never been able. You're not the first person I've seen post it, but I've never found the solution. Try posting in her forums on it, because I don't have a problem having it. Anytime I make a new virtual machine, it's always created a new MAC address here. This has never been an issue when you add an interface. Like, I auto-generated if empty, and it's always auto-generated for me. I've seen people ask that question. I don't know what circumstances lead you to that problem, because I don't know, but there's probably a forum post in their forums that might help for understanding that. Camera traffic on VLANs too. Yeah. WireGuard is great. Only pain in the butt is that Windows installation, having a login admin set up, user elevation will not work. Huh. Your wife is streaming for a new YouTube channel. She said two can play at the streaming game and not do yard work. Possibly. Ryzen concurrency in hardware. We do not have a pair of Ryzens. Matter of fact, interestingly, we have our lab pool, which has here's the R630 and here's the Ryzen. Now, you can have these coexisting in the pool. So if we go over here, and here's my Phoronix. Is this one on lab? Yeah, this is in the lab network. So we'll go ahead and stop it. And when you have them in mixed environments, I can start on either server. So I can start it on this server. I can start it on here. So let's boot it up on this server right here. And by the way, it's nice and fast when you boot it up on here. It's actually so fast, we're trying to sort out exactly what the differences are. And we need to do some more testing, because I'm not publishing the results because they're skewed and we're not sure how we're skewing them. But the Ryzen is outperforming the Dell server, and it shouldn't be at the level it is. The stats don't make any sense to us. More testing before it all gets released, because I'm working on a video for it, because we've been scratching her head over how fast these Ryzens are. But by the way, kind of side note, I asked Wendell what he thought of it, and he says, because he was building the Forbidden router, he's like, yeah, it's really, really fast. And I was like, he's going to do some testing too, he said. So recommendation, play lo-fi. I would, except for the copyright flags you get constantly. I've gotten to where I don't put any music. I had music that was free. I used a clip of in an old video 4 years later, someone bought the rights to it and flagged my video for a copyright infringement. I had to deal with it. I said, no more music, because every time you put music in, it drives me nuts that they do that. But there is a chance I can put it in, because there is a, I don't know if anyone owns this right here. I'll risk it in this video. But has any of you heard of this? Ambicular? It just is sequentially generated. I don't know if this comes through at all in there, but you can do this. It's I'll drop the website link here for anyone who wants some lo-fi hip-hop vibes. But I don't know, maybe I could put some in the background. It's a little tricky. XCP would be a way better solution if it became a pre-installed web UI. Yes, no. They are working on XO Lite. So XO Lite's going to be the built-in one. That's coming within, I don't know when, but soon. The XO Lite will be, I'm excited when they finally finish it. It's not finished yet. That'll be built in, and that'll be like a baked-in solution, so you don't have to load Zen Orchestra. It works now, but it's in early beta. We'll just say that. Would you recommend getting into VMware virtualization, mainly focused on network storage? Use VMware, because if you want to get out into the market, you're going to find a lot of VMware. It's a popular product. I don't tell people not to learn it. Do I want to use it? No, but use whatever. VMware is popular. It's got a whole certification program if you want to get certified in it. Honestly, once you start understanding virtualization, whether it's VMware, Proxmox, XCP&G, Hyper-V is its own animal, but as you learn these, you get a better understanding of how virtualization works, because they all work on a similar set of principles. The differences in the nuances of how they're implemented. So that's the big difference there. What's good for an R610? I would say I like XCP-NG. Possible more backup integrations are available. Well, sure, but I also like the fact that I can not rely on third-party backups, because the backup integration is completely built into XCP-NG. So I have no third-party reliance for my XCP-NG servers for backups. It's just not necessary. I thought YouTube had a library to pull from creators. They do, and it's terrible. That it's not great at all. So I just finished watching our CP&G HA video. After the first hypervisor fails, the recovery kicks in. Are all the VMs using the same MAC address? Yeah, it doesn't matter what server they're on. The MAC address is the same no matter the server. The MAC address is tied to the VM, not the server. So in my example right here, the Phoronix server. So here's the network. It's 192.168.3.195. There's the MAC address. So ends in C0CB. So if we stop, it's running right now. Actually, let's do this. So if we LTS. So currently it is got that IP address, and we'll scroll down a little bit here. You can see it's on a Ryzen. So here it is, Ubuntu 2004, AMD Ryzen 5. So, it's everything we said. And now we'll go back over to it, and we'll stop it. And this is the same as HA. Stop, start on another server. It doesn't matter. It's in the same resource pool. Then we're going to go to start on, and we're going to start it on the 630 this time. So we go ahead and go here. But you'll see the MAC address first is the same. So if it's this, that isn't going to change any. And it's going to get the same IP address, even though it ends up running somewhere else. So as it boots, takes a second to think. Well, it just blacks out for a minute on the screen. It's the Ubuntu 2204 does that. Or I don't know, what version of Ubuntu am I running? Whatever version of Ubuntu I'm running does this. Now when we see it starting up on this one, In a second, we'll get a MAC address, but we'll do it through here. And then we will neo fetch. Hey, look, it now is running on an Intel Xeon, if you can see that down here. So, but the MAC address and the IP address and all that haven't changed. It doesn't matter when it starts up on a new one. It'll take a second. It'll show the IP records. But yeah, nothing really changed there. I hang out on Technotim's Discord. 100 Days of Homeland ID is such potential to become huge. It was awesome seeing all of you. Yeah, I loved it. Technotim's awesome. Hey, I have a Proxmox cluster with Dell servers, a repurposed Ryzen 3. No problems, all. Ryzen has been solid as the Dells. Hey, thank you very much, Charlie, for the comment and the donation. But yeah, Ryzen's been solid. I've been really happy with them. I want to build more Ryzen systems, you know. I want to build an Epic system as well. Let's talk about it. What remotely accessible storage software? I don't know what that means. Nextcloud? I don't understand your question. I recommend Nextcloud. I like it. It's a good thing. I don't really use it, but it works. When installing XUG, can you install Zen Orchestra on it too, or it has to be separate? No, it has to be separate. It's a separate VM. When they have Exolite will be part of it, but the Zen Orchestra is separate as a virtual machine. Do you have a good way of removing Windows guest tools? The uninstall doesn't do it. No, I always thought the uninstall worked. Their OpenVM tools for XCPG use the same. OpenVM tools. What is OpenVM? You talking about this? Like their Zen guest utilities are a thing. Those are just part of the repositories. We work in 100 Days of Home Lab as I'm moving to my office basement, my home. My current office has no air. Ooh, yeah. Going to use your channel to make my way into a career in IT. That is awesome to hear. I love hearing that. Definitely. It's great for this. I have a 1 gig Verizon and looking to buy a router. Run PFS to replace Verizon. Any recommendations? The 4100 is pretty reasonable. The 6100 is pretty awesome. It kind of comes on the budget. I like those. Those are the Netgate offerings. You get good support from Netgate. You get a reliable device that's well made, and they work. The problem once you start going to 1 gig routing is you need something that can handle the 1 gig. So that's one of the reasons I'd recommend probably getting something a little bit nicer like that. Do you have a video converting? Just backup, point A, export. You can import though in XCPNG. Where's it here? So if we go to import, drag and drop your OVA or XVA file. So convert things to OVA, export them and import them. Have you used Open Zen Manager? I want to find a stable servers from Linux. I don't have any. I like Zen Orchestra. It does everything I need. So I use Zen Orchestra. So that's my solution to Zen Orchestra. I don't plan on using anything else. Zen Orchestra was what works for me. Virt Manager versus VMware versus VirtualBox, which is good. Which the one you configure the most secure. That's the one you isolate the best is the best one to use for security. I don't know. I'm not sure which one would be better over other ones. 100 Days of Home Lab, currently working towards my goal of running OpenStack at home. You're in luck. Me and Jay are going to do the Home Lab show about OpenStack. So we're excited to get people involved in it. I don't use it. Jay does. So that's why Jay's more going to be the one doing it. Is zabbix better than Isigna 2? Well, I use zabbix and I don't use the other one, so my answer is going to be yes. But I don't have any comparison, and I don't plan on changing from zabbix to go look at another one. It's not on my to-do list. And according to Mozilla, Isigna, I think I'm saying it right, is much better because he works for the company behind it. He may have a bias, but he may be right. I don't know. What's your recommendation for highly distributed storage, cluster or Ceph? My recommendation is whatever you can support. They both can achieve the goal, but if I took people who know Ceph and told them they have to use clusters, they're going to be mad, and vice versa. It's the it comes down to you have to build solutions you can support. So it's not a matter of what I recommend, it's about who's going to do the support. By the way, I'm not the guy who supports Gluster or Ceph. That is not my day job. So like we work with 45 drives. They like Ceph for most of their projects. So if we were selling a 45 drive solution with Ceph and support contract with 45 drives in a team, we would probably go with Ceph. If we were working with IX Systems, which we are partnered with as well, and we were pushing a true NAS scale storage system and wanted to integrate Gluster because that's what scale has got, going in the back end, then you would recommend that. So it comes down to the support of it, not just which one to choose. OpenStack is complex. Yes, for sure. Did you patch Felino? Well, I didn't, but my staff did. So yes, indirect. Yes. I mean, it got patched. I do not involve myself in the day-to-day patching of all the things for clients. So what are the advantages and disadvantages in Orchestra versus Proxmox? You're in luck. I have a video where I rant about that, and then I have a second follow-up video where I rant more about that. So those videos have a title of XCP-NG versus Proxmox, and then Zen versus Proxmox versus XCP-NG versus Zen server versus KVM. So I've got 2 videos posted in the last week that you can find on my channel where I go in detail. Oh, what are you using your personal storage servers? We use TrueNAS. I don't have any need for the complexities that come with Ceph. It's just not needed. So we have several servers that replicate to each other. And we run TrueNAS on them. So here's our servers. This is our main one, and everything else kind of spiders off of this, but this is our main server. It's got a lot of disks in it. It's got about 27 disks and I think 1 spare. 27 drives and 1 spare. These are a bunch of 14 terabyte drives to our pool size. What do we have here? 200. We only recently got this, so we still have about 240 terabytes free of storage. I see NetMaker, looks novel, haven't used it. It's not really high on my priority list. Anyone else ever in chat over XCP not allow you to start VMs? They go into unpause light green state. That's weird. I've seen someone arguing up here for Ceph is better. Someone arguing down here for Gluster is better. Gluster is simple and easy way to recur composite data set. Short Gluster is NFS, not storage. Ceph is a complicated solution that scales way better than Gluster. But there's Gluster people who will probably still go and tell you they can do what Ceph can do. I don't know. People have different ways of accomplishing things. Really, back in the beginning, what can you support? Snapshot lifetime isn't being respected. We go over here and look. We have snapshot tasks running right here. So, and we'll look at them. So here's what's a good one? Hyper backup. We'll look at how the hyper backups are working. Actually, let's look too. How long are they supposed to be kept for? 2 weeks. So if it's working properly, which is nothing special, this is just your standard snapshot, keep it for 2 weeks. Pretty simple. I have videos on snapshots, by the way. So I'm just going over what it looks like. So there's snapshots. Then we're going to go over to storage. Snapshots. See if they're being respected. I don't know. What's today's date? Yeah. 6.4 is the oldest. 6.18 is the newest. So yeah, I'm going to say they're being respected, as I'm not in here doing this every day. That's doing it itself. So I have 2 weeks of snapshots. You can see the snapshot references. So it's only about 3 terabytes of data. It looks like each time there's only about just under 100 megabytes of change from the sequential backups that go on there. Start here. See where I left off. TrueNAS Core is pretty much all of our systems. We don't have any TrueNAS Scale systems in production. Casa OS, nope. TrueNAS is EFS, correct. Bitwarden is my password manager of choice. We've been using it for a few years now. We really like Bitwarden. We're always experimenting with MikroTik. It's mixed though. I don't hate them, but they're confusing sometimes. You can also restart the tool stack in XCP-ng. Sometimes that fixes things. Has you ever been a victim of cyber attack? All the time? How do we handle it? It depends on the attack. Unwinding ransomware is just one of those things. Has any of our clients that we actively protect, they've had plenty of attacks all the time. It's not really, you go through your playbook of if these are the things you need to do: isolate the machines, test this, test that, understand where the attack came from. Did it get any further? Did it infect anything more than one laptop? Did they try to do any lateral movement? We use Sentinel-1 for those wondering. I've talked about Sentinel-1. I've got a demo of it you can find on my channel. So just be progressing. Didn't even start the 100 Days of Home Lab yet. Procrastinating is easy. Thank you very much for your answer. I'll look at reviews about Zen for Proxmox. I've been following you since year and a half. You're the best. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. You participate on recovery of ransomware attack. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's more than once. Because when people are not managed or they don't have their own IT department, they're in emergency mode. They know they've been attacked, so they start calling people. I've gotten the call more than once. No security, no nothing, unpatched servers. They get taken over by ransomware. And we'll come in and do what we can. First question I have for them: do you have an insurance policy? Have you called them? And if that answer is, I haven't called my insurance and I don't, or we do have a policy, I just haven't called them yet. I'm like, well, call them, because the insurance company will frequently pick who's going to do the remediation. And if they don't pick, hey, call me. So I changed snapshot what is causing the issue. Having them custom name date looks like, oh yeah. Don't, if you mess with the names, you can have problems. I always leave the names at auto. Is security onions telling you to do this? Yes. When would you offer a 2U server over a 1U? When I can get a deal on it. Do you hold packages known critical if they're absolutely sure the next version is safe? Do you hold packages of known critical packages? I don't understand that question. We patch as soon as possible. Unfortunately, that breaks things sometimes. Yeah, there is a couple MikroTik channels out there. So, yes, I'm friends with Techno Tim. He's super cool. Does anyone know in vCenter on the hosts and the cluster page how to get real usage memory instead of showing the total amount of memory and guess? I'm not much of a vCenter person. Can't update the firmware. Is there a way to change it on maybe? I don't know anything about updating firmware and QNAPs. I never use QNAPs. So How often do you get that type of call? Too often. I'd say maybe once a week. Maybe it's not terrible. Second question: do you have backups? Yeah, the answer to that is almost a given that they don't. They don't have it. There's if your VM gets stuck starting in state XP, restart that tool stack. That might be a crate. That might crash our VMs issue due to VMs being stuck in a crash state. Actually, no. Let me show you real quick because we'll do it live because that's what we're doing here. So let's go over to one of these hosts. So here is our lab Ryzen system. Actually, let's go ahead and restart the tool stack. So we see we have a Windows machine running on here, and we'll go and do the restart tool stack. This Windows, which is Kyle's lab machine, is still running fine on the server that we restarted the tool stack on. You can do this tool stack restart. You can't manage the server during that moment. It'll gap out in terms of being able to be managed, but that's it. Tool stack restarted. You can do that, and it sometimes fixes when things get stuck. You can leave your VMs running while you're doing it. It doesn't hurt anything. What are the situations made you use? What were the situations? We actually tried Zen Orchestra. Coincidentally, we had a client that had it. We inherited a client that I think it was a client that had it years ago when it was Citrix before, like 5 years ago. And we just fell in love with it going, wow, this is really a great way to manage virtual machines. And then we started working, doing videos on it. And then I met Oliver and the team at Vates. I became friendly with them and, I just talked to them online, I should say. And I really love their community engagement. And we couldn't believe how great the system was for managing virtual machines. So hold patch. I don't understand the question. Currently, no, because it's too much work. Maybe sometime in the future, but application whitelisting, everyone wants to tell me it's easy. Anyone I talk to that I respect in the security world tells me what a headache it is in their business to actually use. So, I mean, known working versions of critical systems work packages. I still don't know what you are asking at all. Patches come out. I can't make it any simpler than that, I don't think. The ingenious equipment hasn't died. So I wanted to get it done, but I've been busy doing other things. I wanted to get the review done sooner with the ingenious stuff, but I haven't had any problems with it. It's been kind of uneventful, but I think that's what people want. They want an uneventful usage of their switch. So it's being tested, and the PoE is being tested for quite a while now. Mark here's not a believer. He likes Proxmox because he finds it much more usage, solid, and simple than Zen Orchestra. Whatever. I disagree. So it comes down though. I mean, for the home lab, Mark's probably right. In a home lab environment, when you have a client that has 2,000 virtual machines to manage, there's a different perspective you may have on it. Because even us, we don't have that many. We don't have 2,000. We're getting more all the time. We do have 53 virtual machines to manage. And the more virtual machines you get to manage, the dashboard for something like Zen Orchestra starts making a lot of sense. That's my use case for it, is managing things at scale. We have a client that manages one Zen Orchestra across several data centers at geographically different locations. So when you build these large scale out systems like that, it's a big difference compared to doing it on just one machine. So the scale out nature of it and being able to manage things at larger scale, I think Zen Orchestra is better at. But yeah, you're probably right about Proxmox being better for individual. I think they're both solid in terms of that. So they're both just good in terms of stability. Whether or not you like the interface is an opinion and a subjective, not objective statement. Objective statement, they're both reliable and stable. Subjective statement, I don't think the interface is good on one or the other. I have my third Proxmox server. I want to run network backups. Systems networks get backed up on schedules. I would suggest I have a TrueNAS VM. Yeah, TrueNAS is great for that. So Proxmox is okay for home lab, nothing nice for them. And this is where people will debate all that. I've seen businesses using Proxmox. Like people have talked to us about it. Sometimes it's because we're doing the back end storage. I don't deal with the front end on Proxmox that much. What are your actual servers hardware resources that is running on your Zen? There's 4 servers, 4 hosts. So this has 56 cores. This is an R630. This is 12 cores in a Ryzen with 28 gigs, 120 gigs here. 48 cores in another Ryzen. Another R630, and 32 cores in a R720. I guess that's the question you're asking. Oh, and I realized this wasn't tagged. We got to add a tag here. So lab. There we go. Now they're both tagged lab, so I can find my lab stuff faster. Have you been deploying Starlink servers for backup or main gateways? Yes, we have some clients using it. It's okay. It's better than not having a backup, but yeah, it's still a challenge because it's not super good. Is there any good backup solutions? I don't know. Doesn't 45 drives use Proxmox? On a couple of videos. 45 drives is uses a little bit of everything. So they aren't specifically Proxmox. They provide solutions. So they're a hardware manufacturer, but they have a smart dev team to help push their hardware, so to speak. So they have a dev team that can support different situations and build them out. And then they happen to have the hardware to build all of that on. Because you can have a great dev team, but then you go, well, now I need some hardware. Hey, 45 drives has a solution for that. So they like Proxmox. That's why they do some videos on it. They're big in community education. They're big in open source. I really love the team at 45 drives. Great people. I have a Proxmox VE sysadmin. I have 35 plus VMs, but I'm open. But I'm open in the open source Zen community. I like a Proxmox and Zen looks nice. We'll make storage pools over Gluster to have storage. Yeah, it comes down to whatever you want to use. I don't think either one you're going to have problems with. So whatever happened to the Cisco Catalyst switch you reviewed? I gave one away and the other one's on a shelf. We plug it in once in a while when people have questions. Our lab at the office is used very frequently just to build out scenarios, or when we want to understand a problem that a client's having. We have a lot of hardware on the shelf, so we can look at it and understand sometimes what those changes might do. So we still have them. And 45 Drives like to support the community, so they made Proxmox videos because why not? Yep. I was thinking was snapshots because the this that is a problem. So Kyle is breaking rules over here. Let me find Kyle. Where was that running? So Kyle did this. He's breaking rules. You should not have this many snapshots. So you can definitely the way coalescing works. NG. Let's see if we can find this. Always a fun topic to talk about coalescence. Tagged coalescence in the forum. I probably have a video on it. It's probably me coming up. It is. This is funny. I look for something and I'm the one that did the video on it. Let me find it though. So there's going to be a specific. so we can talk about it. That's proxies. One of these links I had in here. We'll see if it pulls up. But anyways, there's a good article. If you search for coalescing, you can eventually find it. Or I mean, I thought about doing a video on it because it's why snapshots cause the problem. Is when there's a whole series. You have to understand how the forking of a virtual disk file works, and then you go, oh, that's how it's able to maintain all these, and you're like, oh, that's why coalescing and reassembling these is a challenge. So you can definitely have too many. Network guy needs a sanity check if you have XCP error without encrypted drives, but all the VMs you make are encrypted. Is that fine? Yeah, if you disencrypt the VMs. Like if someone stole it, wouldn't be able to get the encrypted VMs data. Correct. Because as I mentioned earlier in the live stream, I have encryption. So this is let me unencrypt it. So let me put the password in. So if you were to steal my virtual machine, stuff that's critical has passwords on it. Like this box that runs things. So this is our jump box we have. And if we try to restart it, we can just tell it to reboot here. Watch what happens when it boots. So if someone were to power off the machine because they wanted to steal my data, they're like, cool, I have Tom's data. Let me boot up his virtual machines and extract the details from them. And you're like, cool, except it'll bring them to this prompt. That's one of those things you do. You set up passwords on there that are required to type in to get these to boot. This is what stops the physical theft of your machine turning into the exfiltration of your data. Please unlock the disk. Okay. Now the disk is unlocked and we finish booting and life is good. So yes, that's my solution. Is the Linux user to use Rumia? Not really. I have used it. I don't RDP very often. So it's neat, but because I'm not doing much in the way of RDP, I don't really end up using it. I guess it depends on where the encryption keys are being stored. That's a different issue, but yes, it can be an issue as well. Our TrueNAS machine, I think about what I was going to say next. Our TrueNAS machine also requires a password to unlock the data sets. Like someone has to type a password in to unlock the data sets. If you don't unlock the data sets, you don't get the data. So if someone were to physically remove our TrueNAS server, once again, they would not be able to get the data out of it. The data sets are encrypted at rest. So you have 4 servers holding Zen. Is that right? Those 4 servers being administered as a cluster. 2 that's referred to as a pool in Zen, not a cluster, and 2 are in pool A and 2 are in pool B. Essentially, one's called my lab pool. So yes, they're not all in one. So here's the 4 servers. Here's the 2 pools. Each pool has 2 servers in it. One's called lab. One's called pool of Zen. We probably are going to merge them all back into one, but for now we don't. Thanks for the clarity. My subconscious can sleep. Yes. I'm also encrypted my Debian because I encrypt everything. My computer that I'm on right now requires a password to boot up. I mean, the drive is encrypted at boot because why not? My laptop especially always encrypt at boot. Like I don't want to worry about the thought that someone may wander off with stuff. Use Rumia quite a bit, remote into Windows from Linux. No, it's a good solution for that. I've used it. I just don't ever use RDP. The nature of what I do, RDP is not really it. We use a tool called Screen Connect. That's how we connect to most of our client stuff. What's the best way to set your topology relative to your CPU? I have 8-core CPU. XP defaults to my VMs to 4 sockets with 2 cores. Should I just change it to 1 socket, 8 cores? Look up there for this size, probably not. Windows has some core socket combinations it cares about. Linux does not. Linux doesn't really care much about core socket. But if you're running Windows, Windows has limitations for how many cores can be assigned, or how many cores per socket can be assigned, and it varies with versions of Windows. I don't remember the details of it, but it's a Google search away for you to find it. Do you use any tools like Sandoid or to manage your ZFS snapshots and backups? No, I use TrueNAS to manage all my ZFS snapshots. Yeah, setting up Mesh Central server. When you set up your Mesh Central, that's like a tongue twister server, you reduce it a lot. Yes, absolutely. That Mesh Central, I've not used it, but a lot of people seem to like it. What about the 100 days? You should be participating. I should have said that at the very beginning, but I've said it kind of sprinkled throughout here. But seeing as you asked, you should be participating in the 100 Days of Home Lab because you are now joining and doing the hashtag 100 Days of Home Lab to kind of keep pushing yourself forward on different things you want to try. I have not been good about posting as much other than just like tagging it. Because me, it's like a forever. It's like years and years of home lab because I'm constantly dumping data out there for people in the home lab environment. But specifically for people trying to get started, I really like Techno Tim's challenge on it. He did a great job. Watch his video on it. Can XCG packet fill directly on a VM interface without having to create a managed separate VM? There is the ability, that I never use it, but that ability exists to create specific traffic rules. I don't have it set up. I don't have the SDN set up to do this because I just don't need it. But yes, you can build traffic rules right inside of here to control specific VMs. You can force certain IP address, entering a static IP, entering an IP address, editing details of the network interface. It can be done. I don't use it, but it's a feature. No problem. Welcome to the show. Open source asset management. Snipe IT is probably the best one out there. I can't even name a competitor to it that's as feature complete. Yeah, it's actually kind of chilly this morning. It's great. It's going to be a good morning to cut the grass. When I get to cutting the grass. Techno Tim is streaming on Twitch later today. Yes, that is awesome. Awesome open source. They cover a lot of good open source things for sure. 200, yeah, smash that like button, man. There's 77 likes. Let's see if a few of you here can go ahead and do that. Yeah, Tactical RMM looks interesting. That program is getting more popular. I haven't used it, but a lot of people seem to like it. Can you do something about SDN? Maybe. It's slow on my to-do list because I just don't have a need for it. But it is supported. If you go to the plugins, just I have so many other things to do. It's been a lower priority, but you have the ability to here. Yeah, you can configure the SDN controller. Once you configure the SDN controller, so if we actually, I'll pull up the page on it because they have a better explainer. So they have an entire, get the mouse wheel rolling, documentation on how to do VXLANs, open flow rules, and all the things you can do with their SDN controller. It's just, I don't use it. It's really cool. I've known people who use it, but it's not me. So that's why I haven't really done any videos on it. But yeah, it's definitely cool. It's a cool system. I'm glad they built it all in. Tailscale, like Magic, any security concerns? Yes. Any company that controls the interconnects between your servers. Even though they can't see the data between them, they have the ability to add nodes within to that mix because that's what the dashboard does. There's your security risk from it. What are your thoughts on the forbidden router? It's pretty cool. I love that he called it the forbidden router. So it's a neat project. For SD-WAN, I like Nebula. Nebula is pretty neat. My friend my friend's the founder of Nebula. How did you get into firewalls? Well, back in the 90s, I had to start learning because there's this really popular game called Unreal, and I wanted to host servers. So, somehow that launched me into learning about firewalls. I don't really have an easy answer. I mean, I have videos on getting started with PFSense, but I generally am a little bit more advanced. I'm not sure where I've been doing it for so long. I don't have easy recommendations for, like I'm just getting started. But nonetheless, I think a lot of people seem to like my videos on it. I think they're pretty complete, but maybe they're too advanced and you're not there yet. I don't know. It's hard always. This is a really hard thing. I don't try to judge where people are. I can just kind of point them to places and they can keep narrowing it down until they figure out where they want to be. Is there anything you want us to help you with, Tom? You're always helping us. No, that's what I like to do. I've spent my career, as I said, I mean, my tech job dates back over 25, 26. I started my first tech job was in 1995. So that means I've been working in tech for almost 20. That doesn't math right? I don't want to think about it like that. Is that really how long I've been doing this? Wow. Okay. You're made me realize my age. I don't know if that's good or bad. Last night, I finally pulled off publishing privately hosted container and Nginx proxy on the public side through zero tier container on my side. Awesome. I assume that firewalling the VMs is going to be a pain. It's not how I'd want to manage it, but this Zen Orchestra is used in data centers. And data centers, you can't just let people choose their own IP address. That would be bad. So when this is used in data centers, that's when you want to make sure, really simply, you don't want any of this to be easily changed in a data center. So someone could assume someone else's IP or cause problems. So this is important for that use case. I'm not running it in a publicly accessible data center. We're just using DHCP. Don't do the math. Yeah. Don't do the math. We'll go with that. Welcome to the Old Man IT Club. Yep. What was the first firewall I had to use? So let me find it. I think I used this one prior. Let me see if I can find a page for it. Yeah, this is from 2005. The first one was probably, or was it Mandrake or IP Cop? Let me find the Wikipedia entry for it. So I need some history right here. Latest, where did it founded? Man, I thought it was. I don't think it's IP Fire. IP Fire is a new one. So let me go back. I'm looking for. When does this get founded? I can't remember which one I used. It was either Mandrake or IP Cop. But when was this one founded is what I'm looking for. So let's pull this, show you what I'm looking at here. We'll look at it together. Okay, so 2004. So yeah, Mandrake was first before I moved to IP Cop. And later to PFSense. So yeah, in the 90s, it would have been God, what did I first use? It probably was just me writing firewall rules in Linux. I really think that might have been my first. It's been so long, I kind of forgot. Uh, Intel i225 NICs, they work, as far as I know, they work fine. Oh, someone on here is older than me. 1975. Well, I was not working in 1975. I wasn't really doing anything. I didn't exist. Those, depending on when it was in 75, those may have been prior to my existence. Same here. PC support still was my first job in 1995. Ended up leaving job as a network admin, small city in Texas. Got lucky, landed a job. Cool. What do you prefer, HomeLab, Dashy, or something else? What is Dashy? Why would I use it? The ultimate homepage for your home lab is Dashy, apparently. I don't use any of these. I don't know why I would. Dashy is an open source, customizable, easy to use, privacy respecting dashboard app. Neat, but I don't know. I just have everything bookmarked, so I never think about a dashboard to log in. Looks neat, looks pretty. I don't have a use case for it. How's that? I don't know. Novel. For a lot of us, counting IT years is tricky because next question is officially, unofficially. 1995 is I cite as when I had a job working in tech. 95 or 96 is when I started with a job where people paid me money to touch computers. Prior to people paying me money, I did this. Oops. I'll find the one there we go. I had this. That was what I was playing with before people paid me money. I had an old, in the late 80s, I acquired a TRS 80, and that's really what got my brain going. Maybe mid 80s, I don't remember. When they were getting clearance from Radio Shack. Do you ever play with Checkpoint or Nokia? Not really. Oh, Zone Alarm. Everyone at some point, yeah, touch Zone Alarm. Next big thing in IT, if moving to the cloud was the last one, I don't know. More virtualization, more magic, more isolation of things. And the cloud isn't new. It's just what the marketing people want to call it new. I'm about to install XE and PG on an HP server. Is there a point to the install the OS on turning USB or SD card? The problem is it can really wear on SD cards or USBs that weren't made for write intensity. It's better to install it on a drive, but whatever you have that's more wear intensive, so you don't wear it out. So the first firewall I had to learn was 12 years ago. IP tables, NetFilter with CentOS. Yeah. Hey, Trash 80s were great. So I had the TRS-80 tape drive. Ooh, tape drive was awesome. So this is the exact one I had right here. The CCR-81 by Tandy. I learned so much about this. That's how I used to write all my stuff in BASIC. I wrote so many cool programs. Yeah, unfortunately it all died. All this stuff broke. But yep, definitely had all that. So yeah, it's Color Computer 6. Remember, it could run a version OS. It ran OS 9, which was not a version of Linux. So if we look up TRS-80 OS 9, somewhere, hold on. I guess we found the wiki page on this. But OS 9, some of these systems ran OS 9 68K, which is similar to OS 9. It was a different operating system. I never really got as much into the OS 9. So OS 9 is a family of real-time process-based multitask multi-user systems. Not exactly um it's not really Linux. I mean, maybe someone will figure out how to run Linux on these because you can compile it for anything, but these were not great. I mean, these were Motorola 68,000s. Is that what they were? Yeah. But I only dabbled in this. My computer died and I didn't have any money to fix it. So that's where I stopped with before I got into OS 9. I grew up in Argentina. It was super hard to get started because lack of information. When I came to the US in 2003, it was info heaven for sure. Big difference. Access to information helps a lot. I spent a lot of time in the public libraries too. When I was a kid, I was a voracious reader. That's so I read in the library a lot. I didn't have anything else to do. I grew up on a farm, in case anyone was wondering. Did you ever play with Run BBS? I never ran one. I didn't have any of them. I didn't have the means to ever run one, but I definitely spent time connecting and playing on there. So yeah, user group meetings in public libraries. Yeah, I wish they were a thing where I was. I know they were popular, but here in the greater Detroit area where I am based and from, not really a thing. I was so oblivious. I did not know tape drives were for C64, though. I didn't have internet lookup either. I just knew the tapes sounded funny in a tape player. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Definitely some old memories there. Do I need this disk running? Probably not. I'll turn it off for now. Let's save and reduce power. What things are running that don't need to be? As long as this one's running. All right, cool. Those things can remain off. I think I may have to go cut the grass. The stream's been going for an hour and a half, but I do eventually got to do that. Got to go cut grass and I'm going to ride my motorcycle. Is there any news on Crowdstick integration with pfSense? Um, Not really, because I don't know. I haven't really tested it. I haven't really looked at it. It's on my to-do list. It might be helpful for in certain scenarios. I got to see how the integration is going. Does XCPNG auto start setting, which marks VM automatically? Sure does. You go here, advanced, auto power on. You just flip that switch. And if we go here and look at here's one of the VMs here. You can see auto power on is turned on. That's why it auto starts. So yeah, it's easy enough to do. It's the click of a switch and it's ready. Same thing if you need nested virtualization. You got to do it when the VM's off, but if you wanted to use nested virtualization, Windows Update tools, or prevent from accidental shutdown, you just check any of these. If you consider doing dirt jumps on your bike, I do dirt jumps on my bike all the time. So that's actually one of the things I do. So I my so we'll share it. Should be able to. I mostly prefer riding my motorcycle in the dirt. So yes, definitely, uh, definitely dirt jumps. Pull this, move this over here. There we go. Yeah. I go riding around out in the woods a lot, so definitely dirt chumps. I went through grad school, MS Computer Science, using Atari 1040. Oh man, right? I learned Pascal. I did do that a long, long time ago. It's been a minute though since I've used it. Am I the only one here? I do have a philosophy degree. I work in IT. I'm essentially a high school dropout, so with no formal education beyond high school. I mean, I got a graduate degree from high school, but that's it. That's where my formal education completely stopped. Since you started working at IT, I figured you'd be too old for dirt chumps. Nope, 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 nope. Not too old for dirt chumps. I probably am. Ooh, Ray or Cinny. Talking about Pascal and COBOL, you're making me seem old. Yeah, me and Ray. He's had his fingers on the keyboard for a long time. Ray Orsini's a good friend of mine. He runs a lot of fun things, including the look up MSP Dispatch. His one of his new ventures that he started. So Ray's been hacking away at large scalable networks for many years. He's been on my channel before. Easy guy to find. There's not a lot of Ray Orsinis. There's only one that I'm aware of. Let's see. You have an aviation degree. Well, I think flying's fun. So yeah. QBasic. Oh, of course we can throw QBasic in a mix because if you're not playing with QBasic monkeys, QBasic. I'm sure there's someone who. I mean, who didn't learn QBasic with the monkey game? Like the QBasic monkeys were awesome. So. Oh, and bonus MSP Dispatch featuring Tom Lawrence is yesterday's episode. So if you guys want to see me not on my channel talking about the news, I joined Ray for that. So go ahead and check that out if you're interested in some of the tech news that happens in our industry. Where would a support subscription be useful for XCP-ng if those reliable? I don't know why I would need one outside of XOA. Once you have large environments, you'll find people do weird things in large environments. So they want to have that support ready if they need it. So we have a lot of our large clients. They find the support very reasonably priced, compared to what they used to pay for things like that. So QBasic Gorillas. I know, isn't it great? Monkey flashbacks. Gorillas was great. See, this is when Gorillas were great. NFTs, that's when Gorillas aren't great. But this is the original, QBasic Gorillas. This is the original, where so many people learned. Gorilla.bas, man. This is some classic here. It was a fun game. I kind of want to play it now. There's got to be someone that's rebuilt it in like Python or something like that. And maybe that's a good way to get people into Python. Because I don't know if I'd recommend learning QBasic today. I mean, you could. I have a friend who does COBOL. So for any of you that don't follow my friend Veronica's channel, Veronica explains, and she's talked about this. She writes COBOL. So manages it. So yeah. Prince of Persia was a classic game. Actually, is it Commodore? I can't remember if it was a TRS-80 or Commodore when I first played that. I feel it was on the Commodore that I played it. Prince of Persia on Commodore was awesome. That was a great game. You need a QBasic. It was remade in Python. All right. So I keep thinking I'm going to stop and really learn Python. I think the best way to learn Python is going to be to play the Gorillas game. That was probably it. Yeah, Commodore, this was a great game. I really have no complaints about playing this. This was just, it was just fun. I'm glad many of you enjoyed it as well. So I'm getting all nostalgic here. Do you know of any alternative tools to Clover bootloader for a bootloader with USB boot from SSD? No, I don't. So I am not sure. Ray just DM me. So actually let's pull this up. So let's throw this up on the screen. Here we go. Q Basic Gorillas. So you can play it online. You can I forgot about these play classic games. I'll drop a link here in the live stream too. Yeah, that's definitely pretty cool. You know, I wonder if I can do this. I also the reason I got to cut the grass is we're actually working on the yard. Can I don't know how this would work. I've not tried this. Will it work or is it too big and make something stupid happen? Actually, this is funny. Can I upload this video? What will That's how I need to end all the live streams, right? I just realized I forgot I can do this. This is how we end the live streams. Oh, that's great. I love it. I keep this one. It's like it's right in a list of memes, and I have it at the top because this is what I reply when someone asks me something on Twitter. This is like, so I don't have to try to find it. This is my reply. Like, what should I do about this? I'm like, this is my answer. So this is yes. It's just how I don't know. It's fun. No, I was actually trying to upload something else. So I wasn't trying to upload this, but it made me curious what happens when I try to upload these video files. So if I LTS video, I actually was trying to. This one's probably too big. What happens? Oh, okay. That one uploaded too. Neat. We're redoing my backyard. That's why I got to go. My wife's, I know she's wants me to go participate in backyard. I did this with the Synology though. It does time lapses of things. What has been the project we're working on is remodeling all this. 35 yards of mulch brought back there. That's cool. I can just keep doing it. I can go back to this. I didn't know I could do multiple. I haven't played with this new feature in StreamYard. So I can just go back to different ones and switch back over to here. That's novel. Someone is rage quitting his job. Yeah. Has anyone heard of the Lunar Lander game? Yes, I've heard of it. I never played it. Yeah. I used my 12-year-old for cool. Lunar Lander on VAX 11. That's some old stuff there. But this is what my yard looks like now. So this is where I have to go. It's mostly done. That's mostly what you're seeing is we're watering it because this is all the hay that you laid. I think it's hay. I don't know. I'm not a landscaper. I paid landscapers because I don't know what I'm doing. So, but they put all this in back here. So now it looks prettier and my wife's happier. Those are things that matter. She likes the back here. I just like sitting back there. But we're winding it down. If your wife wants a backyard, shouldn't she be in the backyard? Doesn't it? Or does she just want you to work in the back? She wants me to work in the backyard. Straw usually. I don't know the difference between straw and hay. It's yellow and it's all over my yard. that's now you know why I work in computers. My answer to the hay or the straw. I could probably Google. We should have electric open source cars. One day we will. That's not today, but I'm all for it. I'm all for that idea. I think we'll get there. So straw is the stalks and hay is the tops for the feed, I think. Okay. We'll go with that answer. You seem to say it with confidence. Therefore, I can believe it. That's how a lot of this goes. Someone said something confidently, so it's true until someone checks them on Google. Grew up on a farm, eh? There's a lot of, the parts I grew up on a farm doing? Work. You know what I did? I asked questions. My grandpa would say, get back to work. I did not learn a lot. My fascination on a farm was fixing tractors. I know all kind. I can tell you a lot of details about a 1940s Ferguson tractor. I can fix Ford tractors. I even worked on ones with hydrostatic transmissions. I love tractors. I could care nothing. I have lost out of my head anything it took to do things out in the field. I know I picked a lot, way more than I ever wanted to pick of any vegetable. And I am fine to go to the store to purchase my vegetables now. Hay is grown for livestock, straw comes from grain. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, we had no livestock. We were just like a small farm, and we did things like corn, tomatoes, green peppers, things like that. So we just grew vegetables. That's it. We grew vegetables. So we didn't even grow hay. I knew we had bales of it. I knew they were bales of hay that we threw around for some reason. I don't even know why. We also had DDT. My grandpa had big buckets of DDT that we used to spray to get the mosquitoes to go away. I don't think you can do that anymore. Rebuilt a John Deere Model B. Wonder if I can put a Ubiquiti hotspot on it. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I shared a picture on my Twitter the other day. I still like mechanical things. What did I post? This right here. So I still have a lot of love for mechanical things. This is my old Honda that I still ride. This is one of my other motorcycles. It's a 1970s Honda, and I still love the old mechanical things, complete analog. There's no circuits in this. The closest it has to a circuit is a bridge rectifier for the charger. I still love a lot of these older things to work on. So yeah. So not starting a new Gateway computers. Oh, I remember that. So yeah. I still like the food from farms. I still like my vegetables. I just don't want to be the one growing and picking them. That's what I remember about farming. I am perfectly fine not being the one to do that. Yes, this is a Trail 90. So, but thank you everyone for joining on this live stream and keeping me from cutting the grass. I will go now cut the grass because I plan to go ride my motorcycle after I cut the grass. So, yeah. What keyboard are you using? Rocat. So actually, wouldn't it be better if I did this? There we go. Ooh, look. Kind of like, actually, this is fun. Hold on. You can see the glow on my face. But yeah, this is a Rocat keyboard. So there we go. It's great. I love this keyboard. Hey, someone else needs to cut the grass as well. Thanks for having us around, and we'll end the stream. This is how we got to end it. I'm just going to leave this in here so I can just play this clip whenever. Oh, I love that it's going in slow motion for reasons I don't know why, but it looks cooler. Maybe I'll make a slow motion version of it. Enjoy Techno Tim's stream later today. He is going to be streaming, so join him on 100 Days of Home Lab. Participate in 100 Days of Home Lab. Excited to see more people getting into it. Hit that like button and all that fun stuff, and I will see you Thursday, but maybe actually Wednesday, because I'll be doing a video with Jay. That's the Home Lab show is going to be this Wednesday. So thanks everyone for joining. See you next time. oh, hit me up on my forums or DM me on Twitter. Feel free to reach out and say hi, or go into forums and post a more in-depth question.